Hello, assalamu alaikum everybody. Hope you're all safe, sound and healthy. And I'm back. It is 5:29 p.m. This is the 5th of November 2024, and right now the last azans of the Maghrib prayer time are being sounded. I've already prayed, obviously. Now, why am I back? Because I wanted to see how far the PIA charade goes, and it has only gone so far. Not surprising, although the other way around wouldn't have been surprising either, to be honest. Let us just take a look at a few things now. What has been happening? If you remember, Zardari, when he was before president, he attempted to privatize PIA just so that the small private airlines that he had helped his sister set up should gain more weight and value in terms of customer service, not customer service per se, but in terms of having more customers or clienteles. That didn't go too well even that time. And imagine, why are we not surprised that once again there has been an attempt on Thursday to privatize the PIA, and once again amidst a lot of noise, a lot of protests, a lot of discontentment. I mean, come to think of it, the fact that the government actually did not even try to meet the actual value of the company. Now you need to understand that PIA is worth at least 152 billion in assets, and that includes aircraft and operation routes, right? And the fact that the government pretended to set up an 85 billion is an insult itself. What was the government thinking? And again, the fact that they pretended to set up 85 billion as the minimum sale price, and then when there were 3 to 4 bidders, the fact that the Pakistan Army and intelligence literally threatened all the bidders to pull out, so that one sole bidder, the alleged real estate company, which is the Blue World City, which also owns some nondescript local channel. And you can very well see that both the Blue World City, their housing estates and all, plus the channel, were both very obviously approved by the now Punjab government, which even then was Punjab government. And the fact that during their time these two projects were approved without going through red tape, very much so like all the other projects that went through during their tenure before and now. Like we have Mia Amer, the notorious student rape incident, which now everybody wants to cover up and everybody wants to say it never even happened. How convenient that the victim died. How convenient that now she suddenly doesn't exist. How convenient that the whole protest came out to be fake, that based upon fake news. I mean, seriously. Anyway, let's not go into that. But the fact, we're dealing with facts here, okay? So let's look at this. The government says that, okay, we'll put a minimum 85 billion, to be bid against, PIA shares. And then they force all the bidders to withdraw, leaving this one bidder. And just look at the audacity of Blue World City. Just look at the audacity. Look at how shamelessly bold they are, how blatant they are, that they go and offer 10 billion against 60% shares of PIA. 10 billion, which is not even worth the engine of a 777 plane in value. I mean, imagine, not even the engine of a 777 plane, as the CEO of the PIA was complaining when he had the press conference, and he was so peed off, very rightly so, that you actually dared to offer an amount that is not even worth the engine of a 777 plane. And no wonder the bid fell through, because if the government shamelessly allowed that after setting up a pretentious amount of 85 billion, which in itself is way, way, way less than the actual minimum value of 152 billion. So, imagine what would have gone through, what the whole world would be saying, although nobody cares what the whole world says, right? We are at that point where America has set up a shadow dictatorship where the army is supposed to be in charge just behind these puppets that are again set up by the American establishment. And so you have this whole country at siege. The whole country is basically taken hostage by the American government through minions, through thugs and thieves and traitors. You know, we can't even call them fifth columnists now, because seriously, fifth columnists were basically those who actually believed in an idea, which is why they defected to the anti-state factors, you know, because they actually believed in those ideas. But these people, they don't believe in anything. They're literally, you know, hired assassins. They're hired mercenaries. You know, just give them the money and let them do everything that it is that you want them to do. They have no sense of shame. They have no sense of religion. They have no sense of faith. They have no sense of nationality or identity. They have nothing of the sort. We're dealing with this kind of a criminal group that in turn wants to sell PIA's shares to another criminal group that is affiliated to them. You know, it's like literally the main parent group selling off to its subsidiary group or its, you know, affiliate group, you know. So this is the kind of corruption, open corruption that they're doing here. This is Pakistan. I mean, welcome to the American colony called Pakistan, you know. Welcome back to the colony. That's all we can say about this. I mean, the sheer audacity of the owners of Blue World City. I mean, who the hell are you fooling right here? Seriously. And you know, that also kind of brings me back to the fact that this is one of the lamentations that I've had against this generation, this perfectly corrupted generation that has ruined our generation and the next two generations after us, you know, that has put us in undue debt, put us in undue liabilities, that has put us through, you know, a very dark, futureless future, you know. I swear, I think if there is any generation that is known to be the worst generation ever produced in the history of generations and civilizations, it is our parents' generation, the boomers' generation. Seriously, they are the worst. Those people whose youth were in the 70s, those people who created this world of hypocrisy, of shamelessness, of parachuting, of nepotism, of, you know, bribery, of corruption, of connections, you know. This generation has ruined our whole civilization. As you can see, it's on a global level. It's not just on a national level, it's on a global level. You know, this is the generation that almost that was basically the accomplishment of an almost perfected one world order. So you can imagine if America and Britain tries to bring back that one world order, just think of what we're going through because of that, and then you can imagine what is going to happen next if they ever manage to, God forbid, achieve that completely with perfection. Then we're all completely annihilated. The whole civilization is effed forever, right? And again, as I said, because of the fact that we have this kind of a generation that is not leaving us alone, they are right now, as we speak, still on top of us. They are ruling us in every country possible. All the few countries that do not have this disgusting generation above them, those countries are literally making progress. They have nothing to do with the geopolitics. They have nothing to do with the world war. They have nothing to do with, you know, international interference. They keep themselves to themselves, and they focus solely on their people and themselves and on their own national benefits, which is obviously contrary to us, those of us who are still subjected to dominance by this vicious, most useless, most incompetent, most corrupt generation ever to have been born in the history of civilizations. And I see it this way as well, because this was the generation that enjoyed the most too. And after that, no generation could ever enjoy themselves at all. I mean, look at the festivities and festivals. When was the last time that we actually had an honest to God celebration? You know, and this generation, the way they like to, you know, bullshit about how, oh, the kids nowadays, they don't know how to celebrate, they don't know how to get together, they don't know how to social. Yeah, thanks to whom? Really, thanks to whom? Who's the one that fucked all our celebrations? Who's the one that fucked all the festivities? Who's the one that destroyed our social life and our social connections? It's you. It's nobody else but you, your generation. You have literally just fucked the next two generations. You have left nothing in our lives to celebrate. You're talking about how people come and they don't even bother to talk to each other. You know why? Because your generation created that toxic culture of, always talking smack about people, backbiting, about, making everything political in the sense that is like, when you're always playing politics, even within family, where you're always, just sort of leg pulling everybody, where there's this constant, unnecessary, unwanted, and uncalled for competition. There's jealousy, there's inferiority complex, there's envy, there's wanting to do harm to each other more than actually sincerely just getting together. And then you're actually lamenting about how the generation now doesn't want to sit together. Yeah, because they don't want to go through all that bullshit that they've been put through when they were kids, and now they're grown up and they're like, okay, at least now we can get away from all that toxicity. Again, who created that toxicity? Your generation. And then you dare to talk to us about sincerity? Which was the last generation to have sincere relationships? It was certainly not yours. Yours was the first generation to create insincerity in relationships, to put in, benefits in your relationships, to put in connections. Everything had to do with, worldly benefits and businesses. And this is how you wanted us to be. And because we just didn't want to be that way, so we suddenly became the bad guys. Yeah. But look at what's going on. Look at the level of toxicity produced by that generation, by your generation, by the boomers, that till date, this world is fucked at every level. You know what? Festivals, they used to be a way for people, because life was never easy, mind you. Life may have been simpler before, but it was never easy. People, to combat hard times, decided, heck, you know what, let's just celebrate life. Let's just celebrate whatever we can. Even the Prophet, peace be upon him, even he has said that, in life, there are many occasions where you should, try to strive to have memorable occasions in life so that you can enjoy and celebrate life. If there is ever an occasion where you feel you need to celebrate life, to celebrate enjoying life, go for it. Yeah, but you know what? Before, as I said, occasions, festivals, festivities, they were exactly for this reason. You wanted to just, get your wits together, give yourself a break, just go out there, enjoy together, everybody all together, and then that's it. And then suddenly, now, what are these festivals and festivities all about? Money. They're again all about money. Before, money was just a token that you gave to kids, and it didn't matter if it was just a coin. But now, even that has become a matter of ego, that, oh, how can you give only 5 rupees, or how can you give only 100 rupees, or how can you give only 200 rupees, or how can you give only 500? Like, what the heck? These are token money is never even supposed to be so much. If somebody does, decide to just flaunt it and give so much, that's on him. But then to make that a criteria and to expect that from everybody else, that in itself, it literally kills the spirit of the festivities, right? Now, similarly, again, festivals were all about people going out, crowds getting together, strangers not minding each other but joining in and all. Now, I know Europe and America have sort of continued with this in the form of New Year, for example, or, yeah, but no, you see, in countries like ours, where we've had a millennia of crowd gathering for different festivals, for various festivals and festivities, to now not even be able to I mean, we didn't only have crowd gathering for festivals and festivities, but for certain occasions, for certain festive occasions, there were always these huge charity, I'll call them events for the sake of for the want of a better word, really, because they weren't events, they were just people going all out for charity. And people still do that. But again, it's becoming more and more constrained. Before, you could actually give out to charity, you could go all out and, feed the poor, or, give festival, festive stuff, to the poor, and, but it's getting harder and harder. People in our countries, obviously, because it's a tradition, we still go and do it, but it's getting very harder. Okay, why? It's getting more expensive. Why? Our goddamn government, at the end of the day, what with the taxes and the unnecessary undue taxes, because they're taking money from the IMF, okay, and pocketing that money, and in return our country is held hostage, our people are held hostage, and again, this is again the American plan. This is the great American plan of how to keep countries, under siege, so under economic siege. And obviously, who else could have taught America that plan but the Jews that are lobbying for American governments of their choice, ensuring that people of their choice are put as presidents in America, or put as certain foreign ministers or diplomats in America to serve their purpose. It is these same Jews that have hijacked almost all the countries all over the world financially, so that they can keep grip. And this is not a conspiracy theory, really, because as you can see, all the Western or international or multinational companies that you see are one way or the other linked to these Jews, who are in turn financing the genocide in Palestine. It doesn't matter if they're British companies, it doesn't matter if they're American, it doesn't matter if they're French, it doesn't matter if they're German, they're all the same. And notice how the Western world is always on the wrong side of history, but they always like to write history as if they're on the right side. They always try to brainwash their people about how China is on the wrong side, Vietnam is on the wrong side, North Korea is on the wrong side. But hey, who is really on the wrong side of history? I don't see China doing what America and Europe have been doing. I don't see Japan doing that. I don't see Russia doing that. I'm sorry, but I don't see them doing that. The past is the past. In the past, you were all culprits. You all did whatever it is that you did. But you know what? You didn't learn anything from that. China learned, Japan learned, Russia learned. Everybody decided to just live in peace and go through civilized means to interact with the rest of the world. But no, not the Europeans and not the Americans. No, they decided, oh no, let's just keep on pirating, let's keep on looting, let's keep on stealing from everybody. And if they stop, if they kind of try to stop us from doing that, let's just create a false flag operation like the 9/11 charade, and let's just go all out and kill everybody and, go and openly rob them of their minerals, of their resources, of their gold. Let's just go storm into the government homes and steal whatever assets they have. Yeah. I mean, come on. Who are you kidding? I mean, the only people who can drink your Kool-Aid are your own people, who are basically brainwashed. I mean, so much for, freedom and liberation and all. The biggest illusion that the American and the European public have ever had is that they are living in a free world in which they have total freedom. They are the most censored, the most brainwashed, the most ignorant, the most stupid people ever on earth to ever exist, to be very honest. The level of their ignorance is mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling how ignorant they are. And no wonder it's so easy to control them and brainwash them. They always think that, when they find out the truth, notice how they always find it out from external sources. Not from their own media, but from external media, and then when the random few people find out the truth, then they try to, work it up. And look at how successful their government is always at misdirection. For example, let's just put them against the immigrants. Hello, you've always had immigrants. Why is it that you never had financial problems before? I mean, think about it, Europeans and Americans. Also, remember in my last podcast and in the various podcasts before that, I've always talked about how Pakistan has always suffered from the largest number of immigrants in the world until just last year. when we started begging the illegal immigrants to please go home. We literally paid them to go home. You know, tell me, compared to the level of immigrants, and especially illegal immigrants and refugees that Pakistan's had, tell me, look at the proportions of your lands and look at the proportions of Pakistani land, physically speaking. Look at your population and then look at our population, again, physically speaking. And then tell me that your problem are immigrants. That is the most stupid, most ignorant, most white-assed thing ever to have heard. You know who are the immigrants? You white asses. You're the immigrants. And you're the occupiers. You're the illegal settlers in America and Australia and Canada, you know? You want to talk about, immigrants? Why don't you just go back home to Europe, where you originally came from, and give the lands that you've stolen back to the real people, and then let them decide how many immigrants they want on their land? That would actually make more sense to me than you, the illegal settlers who have occupied all those lands, whining about immigrants, who are, by the way, your source of income. If anything, the only reason why Europe and America are still surviving today and are still managing to, lie to their people, telling them that we are the richest, most powerful countries in the world, is because you're literally earning whatever it is that you have from these immigrants and from their countries. No immigrant goes to your country for free. Okay? It means you gaining millions and millions of dollars. And then how they add to your revenue when they go and live there. And then how their children add to your revenue. And then international students, when you have international students, you charge them 10 times more than you would charge your own local students. That is your source of revenue. What have your own people done for the revenue of your countries? The day these immigrants will leave, your countries will collapse. In fact, I wish that the immigrants would leave Europe, and I wish they would leave America, and I wish they would leave Canada, so that you would know how dependent you are, how dependent your economy is on them as you collapse very badly. You're barely standing on your legs because of them. And that's a fact. They contribute to at least 67 to 78% of your resources. Minimum. This is just minimum, okay? The rest are the resources that you have been literally, very openly, very blatantly stealing from the countries of said immigrants. And I'm talking about France, I'm talking about England, I'm talking about America. You have all been stealing from Africa, from Asia. You've been stealing from almost all your former colonies from these two continents. You have still not left the Middle East alone. You're still eating up the Middle East, despite the fact that the Middle East is still richer than your fathers, They are the richest countries still, and you just don't know how to suck them dry. God knows you've tried and failed miserably to suck them dry, so you decided to just leech off of them from within, aka Israel. Genocide, Palestine. Yeah. So, don't take us for fools. You're the biggest fools on earth, really, I'm talking about festivals, like really? When was the last time we were allowed to enjoy any festival that came our way without it becoming some sort of a monetary fiasco, When was the last time anybody even enjoyed Christmas? Okay, forget us. Look at yourselves. When was the last time you ever enjoyed Christmas or Thanksgiving or Easter, without it becoming this artificial showcasing, this hypocritical act, where you've all become this weird sort of an animalistic display, a theatrical display, instead of it just being an honest to God celebration of people getting together. That's what our generation misses. And that's why our generation is not very much into these celebrations anymore. What we miss is that honest to God, sincere get together where there's no family politics involved, where there is no stupidities involved, where anybody can be dressed anyhow and do whatever it is that they want and be comfortable. That's what it was all about before. Before, nobody said, "Oh, why you dress this way? Why don't you dress that way? Oh, let's go." And no, it was all this. Look, even when people used to go to buy bangles, during Chandrat, this was a very, very, very sweet, very nice, very fun sort of an activity that again helped girls to just bond together, go out, or families even, okay, bond together, go out, do some shopping, have some fun. But now even that has become some sort of a status symbol. Oh, we have to get those kind of bangles because those ones are cheap. We don't want those. We want those that can, make us acceptable in some sort of an invisible, hypocritical social strata in life that is called social media now. Forget social media again. Social media again is just a mirror of what our society is. People actually began social media to get away from all of that, but social media got infested by the real life showcasing hypocrisy, by all that display, all that artificialness, all that, it just. So basically, social media again got taken over by the same society, the same toxic society that we were running away from when we joined the social media. So there you are. That just shows that our society is so toxic. Globally, our society has become so toxic that it doesn't matter which venue we try to go through to get away from it, it will find us. Because those same people that we're running away from, that's why they're called toxic. They will follow us to the ends of the earth. They have followed us to social media, they've followed us to the web, they've followed us to forums, they've followed us through to, I don't know, I think they'll follow us to our graves. Even if we just finally die and say, "Oh, finally we'll find out somebody's entered our graves." Oh, hello. Yeah. Fuck it, man. Seriously, what's wrong with the whole world? The whole world is so crazy. And yet the whole world knows that the whole world is so crazy. And yet they're all still just so crazy. It's amazing. Hey, talk about oxymoronic tendencies. Yeah, so I mean, I was just thinking, actually, I was thinking about the festivities. I was thinking about, how people how the same generation that fucked all the festivities for us are sitting complaining very self-righteously about how our generation and the next generation, don't have that. Again, who took away that social life from us? You. You did it. You're the ones who did not allow us to have a social life. You're the ones who are always, suddenly you decide to become helicopter parents when we're out and about with our friends. But, you want us to meet the people you want us to meet, and you want us, you did your parents do that to you? No. Actually, that just shows how wisdom, instead of increasing with each generation, just jumped a whole generation. Our grandparents had the wisdom to just let everybody be. But our parents, who enjoyed that freedom, just decided to curb everybody else's freedom, both within their generation and after. And then they have the gall to complain about the generations after us and our generations, lacking in social skills and social. We don't lack in social skills or social life. We're very, very good at it. Thank you very much. It's just that we don't want to sit and bullshit and backbite and have hypocritical relationships with others, or have, connections with others through which we can only find material benefits. We want honest to God social gatherings where we can just relax and have fun. But unfortunately, the society being so toxic that it is, we cannot do that anymore. And so we choose to be on our own rather than go through all that shit. It's as simple as that. So, yeah. So here we are, We have got the boomers at it again. and those 70 hippie a-holes, although seriously, why am I calling them hippie a-holes? The hippies were actually better off. I think the hippies were not supposed to be called hippies. It was the non-hippies, in my opinion, that are more like the hippies. They were the a-holes. But in any case, the point is that generation is the one that actively brought drugs. That is the generation that brought alcoholism. That is the generation that brought abuse, basically abuse of substances, that as a recreational activity. Seriously, I mean, is there anything that generation did not bring in that has totally effed not just our generation but the next two generations? I mean, just look at the amount of drug abuse that has once again started in our country. I'm sure it started again globally, but I mean, just look at it. Our generation struggled to keep our society drug free, only to see that the next generation is suddenly being introduced to drugs just as easily and as recreationally and as more commonly as the previous generation had it all. It's literally seeing the 70s generation, right in front of us all over again. The amount of ease of access that our parents' generation, generally had, for all these substances that they could freely abuse, the boomers' generation. You're seeing all of that just literally just bounce back in the next generation. You're seeing them have easy access to drugs, easy access to smoking, easy access to illegal activities, and you're like, what? They're not even bloody teenagers, unlike the previous generation, unlike the boomers who, created this whole thing when they were young in their youth. The next generation is so unlucky that they are literally being fed meth without even knowing that, in the form of candies, in elementary school, in kindergartens. As long as they're home, they don't even know what drugs are. But the minute they start schooling, the first question they'll come and ask you is, what is meth? What is crystal? What is this? What is that? How the hell do they know that when they're barely in class 1? How the hell do they have that information enough to come and ask us about it? Just think about all of that, We need to really think about all of that. We cannot blame the generation for going through something that has literally being made a part of their life through political strategy. You can see the hand of your government right here. When you're saying that your government is deliberately screwing your society, yes, you're absolutely right. But when you're saying that, it's because of the immigrants, you're wrong. It's not because of the immigrants, okay? We in Pakistan know much better than the rest of the world that everything is not about immigrants. Have you ever seen Pakistanis complain about immigrants? Despite the fact that, as I said, some of the largest smuggling, schemes in Pakistan are by these illegal immigrants. But you know what? Even larger than those smuggling rackets and units are our own government, our army. And so is yours. The American government and the British government have been trading in drugs throughout the world. And that is how the intelligence agencies of both the countries have literally been earning their revenue, through drug trade. They never stopped. Their main interest in Afghanistan, apart from those resources that people are always talking about, that they've been fracking and mining and drilling through Afghanistan illegally, apart from that, their biggest concern has been the opium that the Afghan government was always burning. That was their main concern with the Taliban. They had nothing else. They had no concern with the Taliban. All that made up shit that they put up about the Afghan government and the Taliban and all was basically just so that they could stop them from burning the opium, the poppy fields, which they did diligently every year. Think about that. This is what your government is actually doing. This is what the Western governments have been up to. Remember, I've said it even before. If anybody has ever listened to my previous podcast or even checked out my social media, this World War II did not mark the ending of the war and the beginning of a peaceful era. No, the whole creation of the United Nations was to maintain control over former colonies and to maintain hold over the world so that the next time it would be even easier for them to access and to, to keep their hand over all the other countries from where they can continue to loot and plunder. And this is a fact. There's no conspiracy here. This is a fact that you can actually see right now in front of you as it all unfolds. This is me signing out. Khuda Hafiz.